and coffee.
Hi, and thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Petrillo. Welcome back to Courier TV News Election Coverage 2019. And as you saw earlier, Lori Lightfoot won her contest against Toni Preckwinkle to become the first African mayor elected to Chicago's mayor. And Mike Campos is at the Lightfoot Watch Party in Hyde Park with one last reaction from the crowd there.
All right, we're here at the Hilton Chicago with Rainey Jackson. How does it feel to be a part of this historic night tonight?
Man, it's a wonderful feeling, man. It's great to be a part of history because that's what this is. It's a part of history, so it feels really good, man. I'm excited. Man, I'm overjoyed. I really can't explain the overabundance of joy that I have. There's no adjective to explain it, but so I could just say I'm really happy, man. I'm really, really happy.
And do you think Miss Lightfoot is going to bring a new chapter to the city of Chicago?
Man, it doesn't require any thought. I know that she's going to bring a new paradigm to the city of Chicago, and more so than just that, man. It's going to be as far as how we feel about our city, and how we show how we feel about our city. That's what's going to be brand new. That's what's going to be the feeling is going to be brand new. I guarantee it.
Okay. And what do you think some of the changes you should focus on first should be?
Well, I think the first thing we have to address is the unbalance of economics in the city. That's the first thing we have to address. And but make no mistake about it, all right? The problem that's in Chicago, it's a multifaceted of things. It's an octopus tentacle of problems. So we have to address them in that way. You can't just solve one problem and then solve one problem. You have to address them all at the same time. I feel you have to address them all at the same time in order for things to work. In order for things to work simultaneously and efficiently.
And do you think Miss Lightfoot and Toni Preckwinkle, the loser of this contest, will be able to work together to make the city better?
Man, I would hope so. I would hope so because it was a historical event. Either way it would have failed, it still would have been a historical event. But wait, what makes it more historical if we have two women, right, of color for the first time, and both of the women, regardless of how you feel about them, very intelligent women. Very capable women and very strong women. And I think working together is only going to make what Lori wants to do and what Preckwinkle wants to do. Like her agenda, she still has an agenda. If she truly was for the people, then she still have an agenda. And if she wants that agenda to move forward, she has to work with Lori.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Jackson. It's been great to be here.
Really
be part of history.
Man,
yeah.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank you.
It. All right.
Looks like things are finally starting to end there, right, Bill?
Yeah, they're wrapping it up with that interview.
Well, they called the race pretty early, so looks like everyone's taking the early train home.
Well, I think it was us that called it officially early, and so we beat everybody else to it, all the other news agencies, and so that's what College of DuPage TV does.
You heard it here, folks. First here with all the calls. Now, let's go head back to DuPage County, follow some more local races. So first off, Naperville. Looks like Steve Chirico is leading with 54%, Rocky Kaler's 46%.
Yeah, Chirico, the incumbent, looks like he's got a pretty decent lead there. I would suspect he'll win it. And, it goes back to they were both pretty interested in doing a little bit more for infrastructure in Naperville, and so I'm not that surprised that they were able to get the vote back out for Chirico. And, things are going well in Naperville, as they are in many communities these days.
Well, it looks like the numbers have tightened a bit to 52 to 48%, so we might not be able to call this one tonight. Now, real quick, we're going to go back to Mike, who has one last interview over at Lori Lightfoot's campaign office.
Exactly.
Now, this is my photogenic side right here.
Cool, David. won a race in Chicago's mayor election. And again, like, she's got her work cut out for her, but it is interesting that it was 2 females that were in this pretty much runoff.
All right, and it looks like we're ready now, so we're going to go back over to Hyde Park.
All right, I'm here at the Hilton Chicago with Levi Jackson. Levi, how does it feel to be a part of this historic event?
Wonderful, wonderful. I knew she can do it when she first told us about she was going to run, and we had her back and her support all the way.
And what attracted you to Lori Lightfoot as a candidate to begin with?
Well, we've been knowing Lori for over 20 years, well, around 20 years, and her spirit. She got a really good spirit, very beautiful lady, and she's down to earth. And she's a person you can walk up and talk to and have a conversation with, and you can feel the chemistry. And she's like I said, she's very determined, and she wasn't gonna stop. And in the beginning, I said, who you think your biggest competition gonna be? And out of nowhere, she said Periwinkle, and I'm like, Periwinkle. And so I was like, okay. So and it came up. It was Periwinkle. That was her biggest. So she did it.
Now, on the note of Toni Preckwinkle, do you think her and Lori Lightfoot will be able to work together to improve the city of Chicago?
Well, they have to. They have to, because at the end of the day, it's about the city of Chicago. And these 2 ladies, they historic. They made history, and you have no other choice but to work together, because they're entwined. Everything's entwined, and Lori is willing to do whatever she can to make the city one, and not just South Side, West Side, East Side, North Side, just one Chicago.
All right. Reporting from the Hilton in Chicago, Mike Campos, Courier TV News. Back to you at the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Levi.
That was not better to hear.
Mike. It looks like we had a little technical difficulties there. Apologies for that. But hey, it's, you know, get your strings crossed, traveling all the way to Hyde Park from COD.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that could be 28.3 miles, and so when you're trying to transfer data that far, it can be trouble.
Oh, it's running a literal marathon. Yeah. Now let's look at some more mayoral races. Downers Grove, we have kind of a 3-way race happening here. Marge Earl looking like a pretty commanding lead, 58% compared to Bob Barnett at 42%, and David Olson at,
Yeah, I think
it's David Olson at 42% with Marge Earl at 10%, and
yeah, I think we ended
Barnett
up some backward
48%.
Numbers there, but I think Barnett looks like he's the winner with Downers Grove. That he's probably going to win. He's a member of the board already, the board of trustees there, and now he'll become mayor. Of course, David Olson, being a former College of DuPage trustee and former state representative, looked like he would have a good shot at it, but ended up that it was Barnett taking the lead there. And you know, all good candidates, and all had like you know, a lot of good positions that they were looking for in that race. And so I would say certainly Barnett will do a good job with that.
That's good to hear. And another defeat for David Olson, who had lost his re-election last year in kind of an upset.
Yeah, we had talked about that in November, that he lost an upset race in DuPage County, a Republican running in DuPage County, but we saw how that went. And it goes back to this idea of the year of the woman, starting off in, and again, I know we didn't lose to a woman, but starting off in 2018, where the women really took over in that election. And then in this election, we saw, again, Lori Lightfoot and running against Preckwinkle, so 2 women running. And then not to transition into this, but also in the College of DuPage Board of Trustees.
Well, let's talk a little about the College Board of Trustees then.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Corrigan and Dunn in the College of DuPage Board of Trustees, and so 2 women that have won. Of course, Dunn, well known because she had gone to COD and went on to become a Rhodes Scholar, which
wow.
A Rhodes Scholar is impressive regardless, and she was the, I think, first and only community college graduate had gone on to become a Rhodes Scholar. So
wow.
Impressive right there in itself. And I know Annette Corrigan, I had listened to her speak before, and she talked a lot about doing things for people with disability to try to bring them into community colleges. And so 2 really good candidates.
Now, what do you think are some of the big issues that they'll be focused on for the upcoming term?
Yeah, of course, it always goes back to taxes. What are you going to do with taxes? Are you going to be able to keep taxes low? And tuition. Are you going to be able to keep tuition low? But at the same time, you also have to make sure that you're delivering quality education to those students. And of course, political science classes are where the quality education really comes through.
We're non-biased, so I'll...
Okay. All right, then we won't say that anymore.
Well, another thing is the new president. COD is going to need a new president, and the board will be the one deciding that, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so they'll be choosing a new president, and the search committee's underway, and they're of course going through a lot of, I'm sure, really good candidates and trying to figure out who to bring in for interviews, and certainly that's a big issue that's coming in front of the board too.
Now, there were a few candidates who ran as a slate for the Board of Trustees, sort of allied with the former chairwoman Deanne Mazzocchi and Frank Napolitano, the current chairman. Did those 2 win, or?
You know, I'm not exactly sure if they were running as maybe necessarily a slate, but I did see a lot of signs where it was Dunn and Bailey together, and so it looks like it's going to be Corrigan and Dunn instead, but again, not so sure that they were necessarily running as a slate, other than you saw a lot of their signs together.
Right, right. Well, we can hope that even though that slate might not have happened, that hopefully everything will continue working well for the college together.
Yeah, and then one other thing that I just wanted to mention was the referendum in Hinsdale, and you may recall a couple years ago we were talking about the referendum in Hinsdale, and it was basically to, I think, rebuild the pool, and it was defeated a couple of years ago. And I know that we heard a lot in the last couple of months about that referendum, and what the school was saying is it looks like they're going to have to end the football program. And so if they were talking about ending the football program, then the community really got out and said, well, we can't end the football program. And so it looked like it was going to win something like 65 to 35%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the people of Hinsdale had changed their minds on the referendum.
So all they had to do was put a gun to the football program's head, basically.
That's oftentimes the way that it works.
Now, before I let you go, Bill, is there anything else, any last races or thoughts for tonight?
Yeah, you know, again, I think that it was interesting that it was a lot of women that had won again, and going back to the idea that the 2018 election and the November 2018 election, that there was, first of all, a lot of women who are running, a lot of women who are running for more local elections, and then, of course, that builds a stage for them to move to national elections. And so I think that's the thing that is probably most interesting, that you're going to see eventually all of these women who are winning locally moving on to like more national, saying like U.S. Senate, U.S. House of Representatives elections, which we've already seen a lot of that.
And we'll be seeing another in 2020.
Yeah, of course.
Well, thank you very much for coming on here again, Bill, and lending us your expertise.
Hey, thanks for coming back also.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. This has been your election update. Thank you again for choosing Courier TV News for your election coverage this evening, and we're going to leave you with a segment we like to call Chap Chat. We ask students if they voted or not, and why.
No, I didn't. No, I did not.
I did not vote today, no.
No, I have not voted today.
I did not. I didn't have time, unfortunately. I was kind of rushing to get to class. I should have, though. I regret it.
I did not vote today because I got busy with homework, and it's the first day back at class.